My celebrity wife was afraid I'd cheat on her after we got married. I never expected her to secretly install hidden cameras all over the house. She even live-streamed the whole thing, and I had absolutely no idea. That day, right after my wife left the house, I hurriedly sent a voice message. My wife went to work. You can come over now. As soon as I said that, the live stream immediately blew up. Holy crap. What an absolute scumbag. He obviously has such a beautiful wife, yet he still wants to cheat. Meanwhile, Wei Wei was driving, her eyes glued to her phone. Her face was ice cold. She was already absolutely certain, which was why she dared to start the live stream. She didn't expect him to fail the test so easily. Have I really been cheated on? Just then, my phone rang.
This voice message.
Looks like this girl is pretty eager too. It'll be there in 15 minutes. I really want to see what this woman looks like. At this point, Wei Wei was also losing her mind. She just wanted to rush home and tear that homewrecker apart. Seeing this, the show's director quickly tried to stop her. It's not what you think. It's really not what you think. Don't get too mad. Wei Wei stared coldly at the livestream screen. The fans in the livestream, seeing Wei Wei's icy expression, kept sending comments to comfort her.
Wei acted as if she didn't see them.
Her eyes were fixed on me on the screen. She still couldn't believe I had the guts to do this, actually daring to invite someone to our house.
Wasn't I afraid she might suddenly come home?
Right then, the me on the screen suddenly picked up my phone and called Wei Wei.
Wei Wei's face was deadpan.
But she still tried to adjust her tone, answering the phone like usual. Honey, what's up? Nothing. I just wanted to make sure you got to the office safely. After hearing what I said, Wei Wei's expression grew even colder. If it were before, she would have been very touched. But right now, her face was like ice. I called her, not because I cared about her, but to make sure she wouldn't suddenly come home. Wei Wei tried her best to suppress her emotions. I'm at work. I have to go to a meeting now. I'm hanging up. Good that you made it. I already ordered takeout for dinner. It's all your favorites. I smiled to myself. She hung up after barely saying a few words. In the live stream, comments flooded the screen.
Wow, you can tell Hez a pro at this.
This call was obviously to test the waters, to see if Wei Wei would suddenly come home. With a loud bang, Wei Wei coldly pushed open the door to the studio, walked over to her seat, and sat down. The little assistant whispered,
Hello, Sister Wei Wei.
In the control room, the little assistant looked at Wei Wei's cold face and asked, Sister Wei Wei, please calm down. Does he usually call you like this? Hearing this, Wei Wei gritted her teeth and said, at least 10 calls like this every month. The little assistant was stunned. There is no way it's that frequent. The director standing nearby was also dumbfounded. Does this guy have 6 kidneys or something? The live stream immediately exploded. Comments cursing the scumbag flew across the screen. Of course, I had no idea about any of this. At that moment, I had just finished boiling a pot of water and was sitting on the sofa scrolling through my phone. A moment later, the doorbell rang. The sound of the doorbell instantly hyped up the live stream. In the control room, Wei Wei also clenched her fists, her eyes glued to the screen. I smiled and opened the door. I took out a pair of slippers and placed them on the floor. As a tall woman with long hair walked into the room. The girl bent down to change her shoes, her bending posture making her look even more graceful and alluring. Then she sat down on the sofa with me, seeing the girl's face clearly. A barrage of comments flooded the live stream again. Seeing this scene from the control room and connecting it to the voice message I had just sent, she was now absolutely certain that I was cheating. Right now, Wei Wei just wanted to rush home immediately and interrogate me.
Wei, don't panic.
Let's see what's really going on first.
Wei didn't say a word.
Her cold eyes locked onto the image on the screen. The girl on the screen looked at me impatiently. It's like this every time.
When can I finally come see you openly?
Soon. In a month, you can come openly. Explain everything clearly to Wei Wei. By then, we won't have to sneak around like this anymore. When the fans in the live stream heard my words, they completely misunderstood the meaning. Oh my god, looks like Hez about to divorce Wei Wei.
Wei is so pitiful.
Hez planning to break up with me? That bastard?
Wei cried and cursed at the same time.
The director next to her handed her a tissue.
Who made you so mad?
Stop crying. If he wants to break up with you, stop crying. If he wants to break up with you, then you should start thinking about dividing the assets first.
Exactly.
Sister Wei, you have to think about yourself.
Wei didn't listen to a word of it.
She wiped her tears while staring intently at the screen. Meanwhile, Zhang Yue in the room was a bit surprised to hear me say that. Zhang Yu had known me since she met her grandfather 5 years ago. She only knew that her grandfather respected me deeply. She had asked him why he respected me so much, but her grandfather didn't explain much. He only said that I was an incredibly extraordinary person. Zhang Yue asked in surprise, I know you were the top scorer in the National College Entrance Exam, and you're a professor at Daoguan University. Do you have something else you want to confess to your wife? Tell me about it. Zhang Yue's words instantly made the live stream explode. Is she bluffing? The national top scorer working as a programmer, a professor at Daoguan University. So, fake. This bragging is completely unrealistic. National top scorer, professor at Daeguan University. That's the top university in the entire country. In the control room, Wei Wei and the director were also stunned. The director asked Wei Wei in bewilderment, "Is this true or false?" By now, Wei Wei had stopped crying. She realized something wasn't right. Immediately after, she wiped the tears from her face and shook her head. Impossible. My husband is just an ordinary guy. He never mentioned being the national top scorer. Moreover, being a professor at Daeguan University is even more impossible. In all these years, I've never even seen him go to the capital. Wei Wei's words were heard by the live stream. When the fans heard it, the live stream was once again flooded with comments. I knew he was just bragging. This guy is definitely a con artist. It's all just lies he made up to coax women. Just lies to make himself look good. Yeah, exactly. Hez definitely a romance scammer. In an instant, the fans in the live stream started competing to play profit. Meanwhile, on the live stream screen, I smiled and said to Zhang Yue, "You'll find out in a month. The time isn't right yet." Zhang Yue grew even more curious. "What other identities do you actually have? What kind of identity could make my grandfather respect you so much? What kind of identity do you have to hide even from your own wife?" Although Zhang Yue was curious to the extreme, seeing that I remained silent, she finally gritted her teeth and said, "Fine. Then I'll wait until next month." Right after, Zhang Yue looked at me and chuckled. "Tell me, if your wife knew you were the national top scorer and a professor at Daeguan University, would she be super shocked?" Hearing that, I smiled and replied, "It's nothing special compared to my true identity. Being a top scorer or a professor isn't even worth mentioning." At this point, the fans in the live stream also started to get suspicious. Quite a few fans started searching online. In the control room, the show's director also started searching online. 3 minutes later, the director stared at the information on the computer screen and blurted out, "It's true. He really is the 2018 national top scorer." The information was immediately pulled up on the live stream. The fans in the live stream looked at the document. "Holy crap, I can't believe it. Hez actually the national top scorer. Oh my god, this is too crazy. Turns out he really is the national top scorer. It's true. I just looked it up too."
Wei Wei, standing nearby, was also shocked.
She stared blankly at the words on the screen. "So he really is the national top scorer." The director continued to look up my information and found a video of a reporter interviewing me in 2018. In the video, the reporter asked me how I felt about becoming the national top scorer. It was within my expectations. I've always been a top student. As for my grades, except for literature, I got perfect scores in all the other subjects. At this moment, the fans in the livestream also saw that interview clip. In the control room, Wei Wei was stunned. She was truly dumbfounded looking at my profile and the interview clip, but she couldn't deny that it was the truth. The director standing next to her was like a curious child. He looked at Wei Wei and voiced the question in his mind.
Wei, did he really never mention that he used to be a top student?
Wei? Wei thought back for a moment.
She had absolutely no recollection of it.
Wei firmly assured the director.
He never mentioned it. Everyone in the control room was shocked to hear this. Anyone who achieved such an honor would definitely brag about it a little, especially when they were dating. Yet, he didn't breathe a single word about it. The fans in the live stream were also discussing it. He didn't tell Wei Wei for all these years. Is he a saint or something? He doesn't have an ounce of vanity. Maybe it's just like what he said in that interview video. It was just within his expectations. The fans suddenly switched to another topic. Someone check if Hez really a professor at Daeguan University. Right. Someone look up if it's Daeguan University. I just checked online. To become a university professor, you must have made significant contributions in the academic field. If Hez really a professor at Daeguan University, then that's insane. In the control room, the director spoke up. "I know a professor at Daeguan University. Let me call and ask." The fans in the live stream all fixed their eyes on the director. They wanted to know if Xu Zhe was really a professor at Daeguan University. The director made a phone call. A few seconds later, the call connected. On the other end was the voice of a middle-aged man. They heard the man say, "Big director, what made you think of calling me today?" The director spoke very politely. "I have a small favor to ask of you." The middle-aged man on the other end replied cheerfully.
What is it? Just say the word if I can help.
The director said, "It's nothing major. I just heard that your university has a professor named Xu Zhe. Do you happen to know him?" The middle-aged man on the other end said, "I think I have some impression of him. Hold on, let me check." "All right. Sorry to bother you." Right after, the clacking sound of typing could be heard through the phone. Less than 2 minutes later, the middle-aged man said he found it. There really is a professor named Xu Zhe. He became a professor 3 years ago. Looking at his photo, Hez still very young, because the director had it on speakerphone. Everyone in the live stream heard it loud and clear. A professor at Daeguan University. The fans in the live stream all showed clear astonishment.
Wei in the control room was also deeply shocked.
It was truly unbelievable. Her husband of 5 years turned out to be a professor at Daeguan University. Isn't this too crazy? At this moment, Wei Wei said to the director, can you ask him to send a photo over? Maybe they just share the same name. Less than a minute later, the director's phone chimed with a message notification. It was a photo of a document profile. The person in the photo was indeed Xu Zhe. It really is the identity of a university professor, no mistake about it. What kind of person is he exactly? Hez, only 28. I almost forgot Xu Zhe is only 28 years old, a 28-year-old university professor. Even the director couldn't help but be astounded. I originally thought this episode would be pretty interesting, like finding out if I had a secret stash of money. He never thought that this episode would uncover that I had an identity like this. Wei Wei beside him was also completely bewildered. Has been married to me for 5 years. I thought I understood him well enough. I never expected him to have an identity like this. Wei Wei gritted her teeth. She cursed inwardly. I'm his wife, after all. Husband and wife should be honest with each other. Yet he hid something so important from me. Does he even consider me his wife? Or does he have some unspeakable difficulties? The situation earlier, that woman wanted to dig for more information from me, but I refused. It seems there are identities that can't be made public. Everyone in the live stream, you guys forgot a few details. It seems he has another identity, one that apparently can't be revealed. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would be completely forgotten. It really does seem like there's another identity. Let me guess. The richest man in the world. At this point, the fans in the live stream started making all sorts of wild guesses. Their curiosity had been pushed to the absolute peak. They desperately wanted to know what other identity I had. Meanwhile, in the room, Zhang Yue saw my calm but helpless expression. Fine, whatever. I'm asking you because I just want to know in a month. Will I be able to know all your secrets? I nodded slightly. In a month, I won't have any more confidentiality restrictions. Zhang Yue looked at me with full expectation. I hope the identity you're hiding won't disappoint me. I looked at Zhang Yue with amusement. What if my true identity does disappoint you? Zhang Yue stared at me with a serious face. Then I'll beat you half to death. When the fans in the live stream heard our conversation, everyone couldn't stop laughing. This girl really dares to say anything. Now the whole world knows her husband is doomed. In the control room, Wei Wei heard our conversation, and her face grew even colder. Looking at the situation earlier, even though Jiang Yu was my mistress, a man and a woman alone in a room chatting so openly like this. Just you wait. I chuckled. Every time you come over, don't I always cook something delicious for you? Hearing this, Zhang Yue smiled in satisfaction. I already ordered the ingredients. They'll be delivered shortly. Actually, every time Zhang Yue came to see me, it was because she craved my cooking. Is your husband a good cook? Hearing this, Wei Wei's face turned cold, and she gritted her teeth. Since we got married, that bastard has only been in the kitchen exactly once. The dish he cooked was as salty as pickled vegetables. From then on, I never let him in the kitchen again. Wei Wei's words made the live stream even more lively. Haha, exactly like me. I never revealed my identity as a level 2 chef. Now my wife cooks every day, guys. But my chef's certificate gets scrutinized by my wife every single day. I even got beaten up once. Now I'm the one cooking every day. Wei Wei looked at the comments, her expression becoming complicated. When they first started dating, he used to tell her everything. He didn't hide a single thing, yet now he was hiding so much from her. Not long after, the doorbell rang. The ingredients had been delivered. I glanced at Zhang Yue. We're short on time. I'll just make a few simple dishes like boiled cabbage and clear soup, shredded tofu, Lian's head meatballs, and dongpo pork. Is that okay? Yeah, that works. Although she really wanted to eat more state banquet dishes, there obviously wasn't enough time right now. I could only make a few less complicated dishes. I carried the ingredients into the kitchen, washed the vegetables, prepped them. Finally, I started on the first dish, shredded tofu. I placed a block of soft tofu on the cutting board and started slicing it into fine threads. The most challenging part of shredded tofu is the knife skills. You have to slice it into thousands of extremely fine threads. At this point, the livestream got even more hyped. Those knife skills are insane. HUZ really looks like a master chef. In the control room, Wei Wei watched me chopping vegetables. So angry she was gritting her teeth. Even though he wasn't a professional chef, having been in the kitchen for so many years, she only needed to look at my knife skills to know I was really good. The assistant next to her saw this and laughed. Now you know Shuze can cook. Has been tricking you all these years? How are you going to punish him? Hearing this, Wei Wei's face hardened. Just wait until the show is over. I'm going to make him cook for the rest of his life. When the fans in the livestream heard Wei Wei's words, they all burst out laughing. XUZ is doomed. Poor Shuze. He still doesn't know his secret. Has already been discovered by his wife. I was busy in the kitchen. After finishing the shredded tofu, I started shredding the chicken. Jiang Yu stood behind me watching me work. As if she were admiring a work of art. Same rules as always. I'll finish cooking by 10:30. You have to finish eating and leave right away before 11:30. My wife gets off work and comes home at 11:30. I know. You're such a nag. Jiang Yue replied in dissatisfaction. The fans all laughed out loud when they heard this, acting like they're having an affair. If Wei Wei had caught them any other way, she would definitely think Xu Zhe had a mistress. In the control room,
Wei couldn't help but chuckle after hearing what I said.
he was just afraid Shed suddenly come home. She decided to play a trick on him. Wait until he finishes cooking all the dishes. Then Shed call and tell him she was almost home. The little assistant next to her imagined the scene and burst out laughing. Has definitely a very interesting guy. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Zhang Yue looked at me and asked, I heard from my grandfather that the head chef of the state banquet once had a cooking competition with you. The head chef even said your skills were 30% better than his. I replied while keeping busy, that did happen. But saying I was 30% better was just the head chef being modest. Our skills are probably about the same. Then you're still amazing. Zhang Yue looked at me with admiration. National top scorer, professor at Daoguan University, plus cooking skills on par with the state banquet head chef. This is just too outstanding. And the most important part is that you're this handsome too. In the kitchen, I kept busy while chatting with Zhang Yue. Time flew by and it was already 10:30. I had finished cooking a few dishes. They looked incredibly appetizing, perfect in color, aroma, and taste, making anyone's mouth water. I scooped a bowl of rice, handed it to Zhang Yue, and told her to hurry up and eat. Once you're done, leave immediately. Zhang Yue rolled her eyes. Your wife isn't even coming home. What are you so afraid of? I took a sip of water and said casually, even though my wife isn't coming home for lunch today, she still comes back to rest at noon sometimes. Hurry up and eat. Once you're done, get out of here. Zhang Yue held her bowl and said, even if Wei Wei sees us, so what? We're completely innocent anyway. I shot her a look, but she has to actually believe that. At this moment in the control room, Wei Wei picked up her phone and called me. I looked at my ringing phone, suddenly getting a bad feeling. I answered, trying to keep my voice calm.
What's up, honey?
Wei Wei smirked and said, hubby, the power went out at the office. I'm getting off work early today. I'll be home in 10 minutes. After hearing that, I completely panicked. Okay, I'll wait for you. I hung up, looked anxiously at Zhang Yue, who was happily eating, and said, stop eating. Wei Wei is on her way back. Shell, be here in just a few minutes.
What?
Hearing this, Zhang Yu instantly panicked too. If Wei Wei saw her eating alone with me, it would look incredibly suspicious. Even jumping into the Yellow River wouldn't wash her clean. I didn't have time to overthink it. I rushed into the kitchen, grabbed some takeout containers, dumped all the food into them, and shoved them at Zhang Yue. She frantically took the containers, hurriedly changed her shoes, and left. As for me, I immediately cleared the dishes. Finally, I opened the windows to air out the smell. Within 3 minutes, everything was washed and cleaned up. Right after finishing all that, I slumped onto the sofa, panting heavily. I glanced at the clock. I breathed a sigh of relief. That was way too close. At this point, countless fans in the live stream were dying of laughter. Wei Wei sneered in the control room. She actually found it hilarious. Wei Wei especially was laughing so hard she was swaying. It felt so satisfying, like she had just gotten her revenge. But this still wasn't enough. Wei Wei picked up her phone again. The next second, seeing the incoming call from Wei Wei, Ishuzi felt confused. What's wrong, honey?
Wei sighed.
Sigh.
Hubby, the company called again. My boss is making me go back to work right now. I have to go. I cursed 1,000,000 times in my head, but I still had to pretend to be calm. All right, I got it. Hearing this, Wei Wei smiled smugly and replied, ah. After Wei Wei hung up, she happily waved her arms in the air. The viewers in the live stream, he must be so pissed off right now. He worked so hard to cook all those dishes and they're gone before he even got a bite. Haha. Everyone is spitting out their food laughing. The director saw that Wei Wei was currently very happy. He secretly brought another woman home. Even if they were completely innocent, she still felt very angry inside. Now that she had successfully pranked him, her anger had subsided by half. The director was thrilled. The impact of this episode was beyond expectations. He smiled and said to Wei Wei, this is only the first day, and we've already discovered so many of your husband's secrets. Looking at how things went today, your husband definitely has other secrets. I'm sure we'll uncover them in the next few days. Hearing this, Wei Wei also started to get curious. What else was her husband hiding? Even Zhang Yue didn't know. His identities as the national top scorer and a professor could be explained by him just not caring about them. Not only were Wei Wei and the director speculating, but countless fans in the live stream were also making wild guesses. What identity is he actually hiding? And why does he have to hide it? At this moment, everyone simultaneously threw out their predictions. Does he really have another identity? They just saw me on the live stream screen pull out my phone and dial a number. I put it on speaker, and the call quickly connected. A middle-aged man's voice rang out. Professor Shu, if you need anything, just give the order. Hearing this, I thought to myself, you're a chairman after all. How could I possibly order you around? That's right. The middle-aged man's tone was very respectful.
You can't say that. You are a true professor.
The company is where it is today entirely thanks to your support. The middle-aged man asked curiously, Professor Shu, you're obviously incredibly wealthy.
Why haven't you told your wife?
I didn't answer him. I just smiled and said, in a month, I'll confess to my wife. By then, we won't have to talk in secret like this anymore. After hearing this, the middle-aged man laughed and said, if your wife knew how much money you had, her jaw would probably drop to the floor. We chatted for a few more sentences and then hung up, and the live stream exploded once again. Comments flooded the screen. Holy crap. Looks like Shuze's hidden identity is about to be revealed. The guy on the phone just now is a company chairman, and he was so respectful to Shuze. UZ seems to be insanely rich. If Hez so rich, why hide it from his wife? The director in the control room was also dumbfounded. He thought the upcoming plot probably wouldn't be as interesting as the beginning, but it ended up dropping a massive bombshell. The little assistant looked at Wei Wei and asked curiously, Sister Wei Wei, have you ever checked Shuze's bank account balance? Wei Wei shook her head helplessly. She was completely in the dark right now. He hasn't worked in 5 years. Even when he occasionally goes out, it's only for a few days. He probably doesn't have much money. At this moment, someone in the live stream sent a comment. Wei Wei's words made the fans start speculating in a different direction. Could it be illegal income? Think about it, guys. Why would he hide it from his wife? Maybe the origin of this money is shady? Wei Wei looked at the comments, her face turning a few shades paler. Seeing this, the little assistant next to her quickly comforted her. Don't listen to their nonsense. They're just guessing. The director beside them also chimed in. I agree with Suran. XUZ's money was probably earned from that company. Meanwhile, on the livestream feed, XUZ was leaning back on the sofa, watching TV. He looked like he was really enjoying himself. Suddenly, his phone rang. Uncle Zhang, what made you think of calling me? It's me.
Long time no see.
I'll come find you tomorrow for a few drinks. Xiu Zi laughed out loud. Uncle Zhang, if you want to eat my cooking, just say so.
Haha, then I won't hold back.
We chatted for a few minutes before hanging up. Meanwhile, in the office of the Jiangnan City Police Chief, Zhang Jianguo gave a faint smile. He watched the interesting show called Discovering the Other Half. At this point, the fans in the livestream started sending comments again. Will this Uncle Zhang be like that woman earlier? Revealing even more of Shu Ze's identities. Seeing the comments, Wei Wei thought back for a moment. She said, I've never heard of any Uncle Zhang. The little assistant standing next to her was a bit speechless. Out of all the people Shu Ze knows, how many do you actually know? Wei Wei thought for a while and said, I've met a few. At his class reunion the year before last, I met over 20 of his classmates, but I don't really remember their faces anymore. The little assistant face-palmed.
What about his friends?
How many of them do you know? Wei Wei stated firmly, 1. But that person is currently abroad. After Wei Wei finished speaking, her face visibly turned cold. That woman named Zhang Yue from earlier, and this Uncle Zhang who just called, she didn't know a single one of them. Moreover, they seem very close to Shu Ze. At this point, the viewers in the live stream sent more comments. Hey,
Wei? You're really pitiful.
Your husband hides everything from you. His identity, his past, and the people he knows. You have absolutely no idea about any of it. Wei Wei looked at the comments, suddenly feeling a bit wrong. I'm obviously Shu Ze's wife. I've given him my whole heart. Yet he hides everything from me. Before long, it was time to get off work.
Wei said goodbye to the director
and drove straight home. After turning off the live stream, the little assistant hesitated a bit. She looked at the director and said, Director, a live stream show like this can easily violate people's privacy. For example, that woman who came to eat earlier, we filmed her too, if she decides to sue us. Hearing this, the director laughed and said, Don't worry. These issues have long been accounted for by the production team. It'll be handled properly. The little assistant nodded slightly and didn't say anything else. Early the next morning, while Shu Ze was eating, he asked Wei Wei, Are you coming home for lunch today? Hearing this, Wei Wei was momentarily speechless. She had already anticipated he would ask that if she came home for lunch today. Then that girl, surnamed Jiang, wouldn't come over. Thinking back over the past few years, she was asked this question every few days.
Wei said in annoyance,
but still calmly recalled, I'm not coming back for lunch. In my live stream, countless fans had already started analyzing.
So weird.
What's there to hide about this?
Exactly.
Just a normal friend coming over to hang out.
Why act so sneaky about it?
The fans all found it very confusing. On the live stream feed, I was on the phone. Uncle Zhang, what time are you coming? Around 10 o'clock. I still have some things to take care of. Is that okay? No rush. After a few more words, I went to prepare the ingredients until 9:30. When Zhang Jianguo finished his work and drove off, yesterday, after receiving orders from his superiors, he had investigated the production team of Discovering the Other Half. He discovered it was a brand new show. Furthermore, to add more mystery to Shu Ze, his superiors specifically had him meet Shu Ze right on the livestream. This made the police chief speculate that his superiors wanted to use this entertainment format to make Shuze's identity public. That way it would attract more attention. But how did they know the show Discovering? The other half was looking into Shuze. It seems Shuze has no idea Hez being live streamed the whole time. Could it be that his superiors are providing 24/7 protection for Shuze? Thinking about it, that seems a bit unrealistic. After arriving, Zhang Jianguo glanced at the black broadcast van downstairs and hurried upstairs. Not long after, Zhang Jianguo appeared on the live stream feed. I've been so busy lately. It's been a while since I could come over to mooch a meal. Once I retire and am no longer the police chief, I'll come mooch a meal every single day. As soon as he said that, the live stream instantly exploded, with comments flooding the screen. This Uncle Zhang is the police chief. The director in the control room broke into a cold sweat. Live streaming without consent is against the law. The production team had anticipated this and originally planned to settle it with money. But in this situation, can money really solve it? At this moment, comments were flying everywhere in the live stream. The director looked at the comments, then looked at Uncle Zhang on the live stream feed. He started to panic.
What should I do?
Should I stop the broadcast or keep going? The losses would be too huge. I'll bear the consequences. This Uncle Zhang might not even be the real police chief. The viewers in the live stream heard the director's words and clamored that finding out Uncle Zhang's identity was very simple. The information of people in that position is all public. Just a quick search online and well know. Right. I'm going to search it up right now. The director also immediately searched online and found it right away. There was even a photo. The director looked at Uncle Zhang on the live stream feed, then looked back at the internet. Looking at Zhang Jianguo's photo, his face instantly turned a few shades paler. Holy crap, this Uncle Zhang is the real deal. At this moment, the director felt a bitter taste in his mouth. Didn't they say Shuze was just a programmer? How does he know a big shot like this? She was even more bewildered throughout the whole process. How could her husband possibly know this top-tier figure? And he even hid it from her.
Wei Wei also felt incredibly confused.
Meanwhile, on the live stream screen, I had brought the freshly cooked dishes to the table. Uncle Zhang, in the future, if you want to eat my cooking, you'll probably have to come all the way to the capital. Zhang Jiaguo was eating with great relish. Hearing my words, he froze and asked why. You're planning to move to the capital, but I'll still come back to visit every year. Zhang Jianguo asked in confusion.
Why move to the capital out of nowhere?
Isn't it perfectly fine here? It is very nice here, but I didn't explain any further. Actually, Zhang Jianguo didn't know my specific identity either.
Wait until next month when my identity is made public.
It's highly likely that I'll have to move to the capital, mainly because the things I hold in my hands have made too many countries covet them. If I continue to stay in Jiangnan City, my family will be in danger. At this moment, comments on the live stream popped up rapidly again. XUZ is planning to move to the capital next month. Land in the capital is worth its weight in gold. If you want to buy a somewhat spacious house, it would probably cost tens of millions of yuan. The little assistant couldn't hold back her curiosity and asked, Sister Wei Wei, are you two planning to move to the capital? Wei Wei was still in a state of bewilderment. She had absolutely no idea about any of this. Is this even her husband anymore? Ever since the show started, she felt this husband of hers was becoming more and more like a stranger. Meanwhile, on the live stream, Zhang Jianguo was enjoying the delicious food. You're the best cook out of anyone I've ever met. Even those big restaurants can't compare to you. If you went to work as a chef, you'd easily make over 50 million a month. Yu Zhizi smiled and replied, being a chef is too exhausting. I want to spend more time with my wife. Over the past 5 years, I've really enjoyed the days spent by Wei Wei's side. Now that my identity is about to be made public, I'll have to throw myself into work. Zhang Jianguo laughed as he ate. Your wife probably doesn't know anything about your past, does she? I nodded. You hit it really well. My wife is a bit of a hopeless romantic. She trusts me unconditionally. Zhang Jianguo laughed and said, if Wei Wei knew you were the national top scorer and an honorary professor at Daoguan University, would her jaw drop to the floor? I smiled and replied, it's nothing special. Those 2 titles are just ordinary. Zhang Jianguo was speechless. Those 2 titles are considered ordinary. But it's true, compared to your other identity, they are pretty ordinary. Suddenly, Zhang Jianguo remembered something. Are you planning to hide it from your wife for the rest of your life? I shook my head and said, I'll tell her everything next month. Zhang Jianguo wasn't entirely sure about something. So he asked again to confirm. I nodded. A hint of confusion flashed in Zhang Jianguo's eyes. 4 years ago, he had signed a non-disclosure agreement, the contents of which forbade him from revealing the identity of the young man in front of him. At the time, he was still very confused. Why did this identity need to be hidden? After finishing the meal, Zhang Jianguo patted my shoulder and laughed.
Little Shu.
Little Shu. We've known each other for 10 years now. If you ever need any help, don't hesitate to ask. After Uncle Zhang left, so it turns out, the police chief knows Xu Zhe because he used to be the national top scorer. But hearing what he just said, the police chief obviously knows another one of Xu Zhe's identities. Do you think he'll say it? This damn curiosity is killing me. But in the broadcast van, the director was hesitating whether he should stop Zhang Jiangguo to sincerely apologize to him. After an internal struggle, he still picked up his phone to call the investors. However, before the director could even finish his sentence, interrupted by the other end of the line. I understand. Just do your job well, it'll handle the rest. After hanging up, the new director breathed a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, in the control room, Wei staring at the screen. The more she looked, the more confused she got. In the frame, I was lying on the sofa watching TV, feeling a bit bored, but going out to play wouldn't be any fun either. Besides, because of my special status, there was always a group of people secretly protecting me 24/7. Suddenly, the phone rang. I immediately picked up Elder Jiang. On the other end, Elder Jiang Loft, my granddaughter told me. The scenery at your place is beautiful. I am planning to go over there for a stroll tomorrow. But first, I'll drop by your place for a few drinks. Hearing this, I could only smile helplessly. Thinking to myself, here comes another freeloader. Hanging up the phone.
Not hearing the voice on the other end.
Could it be another big shot?
Why, in the tech room, felt a bit wildered again.
Is someone else coming to the house again?
Early the next morning, after a similar Q&A session,
Wah walked out of the house with a gloomy face.
Stepping into the elevator, Wei felt rather uncomfortable inside.
Even though she had anticipated it.
She still felt a bit hurt. 10 a.m. at the Jiangnan airport lobby. An old man in a tang suit, looking sharp and vigorous, appeared in the middle of the lobby. At this moment, a striking figure ran toward them.
The old man saw that figure.
You've been in Jiangnan City for almost 5 days now, haven't you? Have you been freeloading at UZ's place these past few days? Hearing this, the figure was speechless. No way. I only went there to freeload once. Besides, his wife suddenly came home. I was so scared that I grabbed my lunchbox and ran for my life before I could even eat. The old man laughed out loud. Let's go. To's UZ's house.
HE must be busy in the kitchen by now.
She was even more speechless, Grandpa.
Why didn't you tell me earlier?
I already booked a table, and my best friend is still waiting there. Meanwhile, the fans in the live stream were bored scrolling through the comments.
Where's the guest? Why aren't they here yet?
Hurry up, I've been waiting forever, watching USUZ cook all the time. Thee just wanted to know who the guest visiting today was.
But there was still no sign of anyone.
Seeing the comments, the director smiled. Just wait a little longer. Everyone. It's almost 11 o'clock. They should be here soon.
Right at that moment, a knock on the door rang out.
Everyone heard the doorbell in the live stream. And right after they saw me walking out of the kitchen. Fans in the live stream instantly got excited. Holy crap. I've been waiting since 8 a.m. They're finally here. Everyone in the tech room also perked up immediately. They stared intently at the live stream screen, only to see a middle-aged man in a suit. Dude didn't look like an ordinary person at all. Professor. XU. Long time no see. Zhang Yu looked at me with a face full of respect. Seeing this scene, the fans in the live stream started commenting one after another, this man looks like a successful businessman. So why is he acting so humble in front of ZUZ? In the tech room, the director looked at the middle-aged man, feeling he looked somewhat familiar. But she just couldn't recall who he was.
Why look curiously at the screen?
She couldn't help but feel that when this middle-aged man faced her husband, it was like a subordinate facing their boss. Seeing Z Hangyus demeanor, XU felt a bit helpless.
Don't be like this.
You're a full 20 years older than me, and you're the chairman, managing tens of thousands of employees.
Why are you always so polite?
THH in the live stream instantly exploded. The little assistant's face was full of shock.
What kind of professor could make the chairman of a major corporation?
Bo,
and acts so humble.
As for Wei, she was even more shocked. She knew her husband was a bit mysterious, but seeing a chairman bowing to Yu with her own eyes, her heart was still heavily shaken. In the livestream frame, Zhang Yu's expression remained very respectful. The way he looked at Xu was extremely complex, but deep down in his heart, Xu wasn't just the person he admired the most, but also the benefactor of his entire family. 4 years ago, his daughter was diagnosed with cancer. Doctor said she wouldn't live past a year. As a father, watching his daughter fall ill and being completely helpless, He was burning with anxiety. And right at that moment, He received news that gave him hope. Heard there was a medical trial recruiting 100 patients to test a new drug. This trial was specifically targeted cancer patients, so he enrolled his daughter in it. Later, after undergoing the drug treatment, his daughter's condition miraculously recovered. The cancer cells were completely eliminated within half a month. Only then did he find out that the person who conquered cancer was named Xu, and the mass production of the cancer drug was also carried out at his company. From then on, he started keeping in touch with me. Zhang Yu looked at me seriously and said, "Professor Zhu, thank you for saving my daughter's life." I replied helplessly, "Every time we meet, you have to thank me all over again." He looked at me with a solemn expression, "Professor Xu, if you hadn't conquered cancer back then, me daughter would have passed away 3 years ago. You saved my daughter. You are the benefactor of my entire family." Zhang Yu's words immediately caused a storm in the livestream. Conquered cancer. Is this real or fake? How old was Xu a few years ago? Fans found it unbelievable. They only remembered that 4 years ago, a world-shaking piece of news was announced. Cancer had been conquered, and it was for all types of cancer. After that news was announced that year, the whole world was shocked. The people in the country were even more joyful and proud. The person who discovered the specific cancer drug was from Huaxia. The only regret was that the identity of the person who discovered it had never been made public. No one knew exactly who it was, and now they were being told that the person who discovered the cancer drug was Xu. It truly made it hard for people to believe.
Wei was dumbfounded.
Her husband discovered the cancer drug. Why didn't she know anything about it? The comments in the live stream kept jumping nonstop. Netizens suspected whether the production team had intentionally staged this for effect. The director patted her chest and guaranteed, "Don't worry, everyone absolutely did not hire any actors. Nopper! How capable our production team is. Could never invite the police chief here."
You're overestimating me?
Hearing the director's words, the fans couldn't help but think about it, realizing she had a point. So now we've proven that Xu is the one who discovered the cancer drug. Hearing Xinghang Yu's words, Xu replied helplessly, "I'm a scientific researcher. That's my professional job."
Zhang Yu still said seriously, "No matter what.
You are still my benefactor." Xu waved his hand. "Let's not talk about this anymore. Sit down and let's chat." I brewed 2 cups of hot tea, handed them to the 2 of them, and smiled at Elder Jiang. "How many days are you planning to stay?" Elder Jiang took a sip of hot tea and said leisurely. He smiled and said he'd probably stay for another 3 days. After all, he's still the principal of Daoquan University right now. Once he retires, He can go wherever he wants. At this moment, the live stream went completely silent. Everyone hadn't yet reacted to the elder's words. The director in the tech room was also heavily shocked. At the same time, she couldn't help but feel terrified. If this really was the principal of Daoquan University, then she was dead meat this time.
With the permission of the principal of Daoquan University,
she was live streaming him without authorizing.
Very next second,
the director rushed to the computer like the wind, typing furiously on the keyboard. It wasn't just the director. Countless fans were also searching for information. This information was completely public. It was quite easy to look up. Less than half a minute later, the fans looked at the information they found and got goosebumps all over. This elder really was the principal of Daoquan University. The little assistant was also stunned looking at the search results. She never thought they could live stream such a massive big shot.
Wei instinctively covered her mouth.
The principal of Daoquan University.
Was actually chatting with her husband like this.
The erector's mood was different from the others. Besides being shocked, she felt more fear. Yuan Cole Zhang alone was enough to scare her out of her wits. Today, This elder scared her so much her soul almost left her body. The erector hurriedly called the investor. The director stammered, speaking tremblingly. Before she could finish, she was interrupted.
I know. Just keep live-streaming.
IVB in watching the live stream all along. Hearing this, the director breathed a sigh of relief. But she was still a bit unsure. Is it really okay? The other end was calm. I said it's fine, so it's fine. You don't need to worry so much. Meanwhile, on the live stream screen, we were eating and chatting. At that moment, Zhang Yu stood up, raised his wine glass, and looked at me. Professor Xu, thank you once again for saving my daughter. I toast to you. I stood up a bit helplessly, clinked glasses with Zhang Yu. I also said to Zhang Yu, I've troubled you quite a bit these past few years, always making you cooperate to trick my wife. Hearing this, Zhang Yu burst out laughing. Fans in the live stream heard the conversation between me and Zhang Yu.
One by one, they couldn't help but recall
that I had previously been messaging some mysterious chairman on WeChat. So that person was actually this middle-aged man. Oh my god, I was tricked so badly.
In the room, was currently dazed from shock.
So for the past 5 years, her husband had been chatting with that chairman all along. Hate had led to her for 5 whole years. At this moment, in the live stream, I looked at Sang Yu and asked, are you and Elder Jiang planning to stay in Jiangnan City for 3 days? Hearing this, Zhang Yu gently shook his head and said, I have to go back tomorrow afternoon. There's still a lot of work to handle at the company. Once, I resign as the chairman of Dongsha Group. I'll be able to visit you often. Zhang Yu's words made the fans incredibly curious. Earlier, Elder Jiang's identity had been exposed, but Zhang Yu's identity still hadn't been made public. At this moment, one by one, they started searching online.
Chairman of Dongsha Group.
The director also immediately went online to search. She typed on the keyboard. She was trembling and praying in her heart, please don't let it be.
Another big shot.
30 seconds later, the director's face turned pale. Chairman of Dongsha Pharmaceutical Group was named Zhang Yu. There was even a photo of Zhang Yu in the profile. The director trembled all over. This was yet another massive big shot.
Why was she so unlucky?
She was just doing an exploration show. But in the end, the big shots she bumped into were all people she couldn't afford to offend. She just wanted to call the investor right away. Then she remembered the investor's boss was still watching the live stream. He said if they needed to stop broadcasting, he would definitely call her. Only then did she feel a bit relieved. The little assistant beside her, along with we were also searching online. Both of them were extremely shocked. The people visiting XUZ were all massive big shots. The little assistant said, the cancer drug being produced. I asked exactly the cancer drug announced 4 years ago. Fans in the livestream had also realized it. Every single one of them was severely shocked to the core. This meant that cancer had been conquered by XUZ. XUZE, I truly bow down to you. 4 years ago, the vaccine suddenly appeared. XUZ was only 24 at the time. Truly extraordinary. The fans were endlessly amazed.
Wyatt. I at this moment.
Was also extremely shocked.
IIT turned out her husband was actually this incredible. On the live stream, the 3 of them continued chatting. Elder Jiang looked at me, his eyes full of admiration. He couldn't stop praising me. I've lived for over half my life, and this is the first time I've met a young man. He is incredible as you, conquering cancer at just 24 years old. At your age, there really aren't many left who dedicate themselves entirely to scientific research. I shook my head slightly. Everyone has their own ambitions. People's ideals aren't all the same. Some want to make a fortune, some want to be famous, and some just want to live a quiet life in a research institute. There are actually quite a few people my age who pour their hearts into research. Elder Jiang nodded. Finally, he asked curiously, what is your ideal? I gave a faint smile, my expression turning serious, and my tone grew firm. My ideal is very simple. I want everyone to be able to afford medical treatment. I want humanity to no longer be tormented by disease. I didn't finish my last sentence. Halfway through, I realized I couldn't say the rest to Elder Jiang and
Zhang Yu.
They only knew I had conquered cancer. They had no idea about my other research achievements. Without permission from my superiors, I couldn't breathe a single word about it. After hearing my words, Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu took on a solemn expression. The way they looked at me was filled with deep respect. In this day and age, how many people actually hold the ideal of making sure everyone can be cured, of freeing humanity from the torment of disease, and actually strive so hard to achieve it? In that moment, my image in their hearts became greater than ever before. Just think about those capitalist scientific researchers. Don't they manufacture drugs purely for profit? Some of those capitalists are even more disgusting than that. They clearly could develop a drug that cures the disease quickly, but they deliberately choose one that requires a long period of medication and has very slow effects. Those capitalists do everything just for money. The number of live viewers in the Livestream had reached 700,000. When they heard what I just said, a sense of reverence surged in their hearts. A sense of reverence surged in their hearts, feeling admiration from the bottom of their hearts. Among them were some viewers who used to blindly chase idols, and now they felt they had been too brainless before.
Why did they always chase after celebrities before? Why did they always chase after celebrities before?
When silent scientific researchers like XUZ were the ones they should truly idolize. I in the tech room. The little assistant was also extremely shocked. She looked at Wei and said, "Sister Wei, you must treat Professor Yu really well,
so he can work with peace of mind."
Hearing this, the director also nodded. Yes. Simone, like Professor Yu, needs a virtuous and dutiful wife even more.
So she can take good care of Professor Yu.
Fans in the livestream heard the director and the little assistant's words and continuously sent comments in agreement. I looked at the comments, speechless. She had originally planned to serve her mysterious husband
really well tonight.
But now that everyone was saying this, instead felt kinda weird. Why? I looked at the comments on the screen and smiled. Don't worry, everyone. Even if you didn't say it, I would still take good care of my husband. There were also some people secretly making phone calls. Hugh Lawson, I know who conquered cancer now. The HAPORE, foreign man on the other end, heard this and hurriedly asked,
"Who is it?" The corners of the collars, mouth curled up.
Less than a minute later, his phone-in received a notification that the money had been transferred. Right after, chuckled into the phone-in. His name is XUZ, Hess, 28 years old this year, lives in Suzhou province. Just use the short video app to search a bit. The HE show Discovering the Other Half. Watch the Livestream and you'll see. 28 years old, do you take me for a fool? A 28-year-old could conquer cancer. Hearing this, Bruce's tone instantly turned cold. The A man replied calmly, "Everything I said is true. If you don't believe me, go see for yourself." After saying that, he hung up. I in the Livestream, 700,000 fans simultaneously sent messages of respect. However, while countless fans were deploy-moved, a few liaisons from foreign organizations hiding in the shadows were also frantically making phoning calls. Not long after, orders were issued from all over the world. But Uze, Ilder, Jiang, and Zhang Yu, who were happily chatting, were completely unaware of this. After a few rounds of drinks, Ilder, Jiang, and Zhang Yu were already a bit tipsy.
The white wine they downed in one gulp earlier
was starting to kick in now.
Seeing that the two of them were getting a bit buzzed, I hurriedly stood up, took out 3 pills from the drawer, and gave one to Elder Jiang and one to Zhang Yu.
What kind of medicine is this?
They looked at me in surprise and asked. I smiled and replied, "These are hangover capsules. They can, within half an hour, completely eliminate the alcohol content in your body." Ilder, Jiang, and Zhang Yu looked at me in shock. "You mean if we take this,
well, be completely sober in half an hour?"
I nodded pretty much.
Oh my god.
To 2 of them revealed astonished expressions. I in the Livestream, the comments flooded the screen again. That's amazing. This is incredible. I really hope this medicine is sold everywhere. I work at a bar. I drink until I throw up every single day. I in the tech room. The little assistant and the director's eyes also lit up. This medicine is incredible. The 2 of them had a lot of business entertainments and frequently had to drink. If they had this hangover cure,
wouldn't they be able to drink freely?
Everyone wanted to know where these capsules were sold. Ilder Jiang looked at me in amazement, asking with a bit of uncertainty, "Did you develop this hangover cure too?" I nodded and smiled, saying in my free time, "I just invented some little gadgets." Holy crap, the fans in the live stream were speechless too. Little gadgets invented in your free time. If this was mass-produced, how much money would it make? There were a few pharmaceutical bosses in the live stream. Hearing the powerful effects of the hangover capsule, one by one they started calculating. If they could get their hands on the formula, how much money would they make? The little assistant excitedly asked, "Sister Wei, can you sell me a few pills?"
Why was also stunned at this moment.
Her husband not only conquered cancer, but also invented a hangover cure.
Sister Wei,
Seeing Wei dazed, the little assistant couldn't help but call out again. Hearing this, Wei finally snapped out of it. If there are any left, bring some over for you tomorrow morning. The director, standing near B, also said sheepishly. I want a few pills too. The comments in the live stream started flooding the screen again. Wei looked at the comments, spread her hands helplessly and said, I can't do anything about it either.
I am guessing there aren't many left at home anyway.
Hearing this, the viewers in the live stream strongly demanding to bring the hangover capsule to the market, suggesting it be brought to the market soon. IT would definitely be a blessing for humanity. Hospitals also really need this medicine. Some people drink themselves to the brink of death. The probability of saving lives with the hangover capsule is very high. I looked at the comment screen and said, this has to get my husband's approval. Besides, the show is still ongoing. It won't end until the end of the month. Viewers in the livestream heard Wei's words and started discussing animatedly. Simone said that the fact, Professor, you concurred at cancer
was already known by many people.
IDS estimated that in no more than 2 days, Professor XU will also find out that his being live-streamed the whole time. The director in the tech room looked at the comments and smiled, saying, no, in the short term. Professor XU won't know about the live stream. Our live stream has blocked users in the same city, meaning netizens in this city temporarily can't watch our live stream. Simone in the live stream immediately asked,
What if the bar pops up a news notification?
Or what if Professor Shu accidentally sees the news on TV? Seeing this comment, the director
was suddenly startled.
That's right.
The person who conquered cancer has been revealed. Such huge news will definitely be on TV. If it's on TV, it can't be hidden anymore. Then this episode of the show wouldn't be able to continue either. But thinking about it, they had already uncovered the identity of this massive big shot anyway. There probably wasn't anything left to hide. Thinking of this, the director smiled and said, if Professor Yu finds out, then that also means our first episode has come to a perfect conclusion. At this moment, on the live stream screen, I heard Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu exclaim, holy crap. I was truly stunned. I didn't expect two such massive big shots to actually blurt out holy crap. Take the medicine first. I poured them each a glass of water. Take the medicine first. I poured them each a glass of water. 10 minutes later, Elder Jiang said in amazement, I feel like I've sobered up a lot already.
Me too.
Elder Jiang looked at me, giving a thumbs up. You really are incredible. I felt extremely embarrassed in my heart. Compared to the cancer drug, this hangover capsule.
Wasn't it even worth mentioning?
Zhang Yu looked at me, asking if Professor Shu had any plans to mass-produce the hangover capsules. I nodded. They can be mass-produced. This medicine can be applied in many situations, but the specific cooperation details will have to wait until next month.
Zhang Yu replied joyfully.
All right, no rush. Everything will follow your arrangements. Fans in the live stream, hearing the news that the hangover capsules were about to be mass-produced, couldn't help but be overjoyed. The comments in the live stream also jumped continuously. The girls who frequented bars and clubs were all extremely excited. Finally, we won't have to drink until we throw up every day anymore. I and the live stream frame. I was still chatting with Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu. 1 p.m., my phone suddenly rang. I glanced at it and picked up. Chairman Shen, what made you remember to call me? Chairman Shen on the other end, loft, Professor Yu. I just got off the plane. I have some business to attend to near your place. I want to drop by and pay you a visit tomorrow. I could only reply helplessly, come over if it's convenient. It just so happens that Elder Jiang and Chairman Zihang are also here. The other end sounded a bit puzzled. Elder Jiang. Chairman Zhang, I chuckled. Elder Jiang is the principal of Daoquan University. You must know the chairman of Dongsha Pharmaceuticals, right? Hearing this. Shen Xiao, on the other end, said in surprise.
Zhang Yu is also at your place.
Then I'll come visit tomorrow morning. Hanging up the phone, Zhang Yu asked curiously, who called? I smiled helplessly. A colleague of yours, Shen Xiao.
You probably know him.
Hearing this, Zhang Yu burst out laughing. So it's him. We're old acquaintances. Right after, Zhang Yu saw my helpless expression and asked, it's nothing serious. Right. ITAS, just that after marrying my wife. IV always lead to her that I don't know how to cook. I didn't expect to be cooking nonstop these past few days. Hearing this, Hang Yu said, how about you go to a hotel tomorrow?
That way you won't have to work so hard anymore.
Forget it. I waved my hand. Guests are like family.
I have to entertain you properly anyway.
Besides, the food at the hotel isn't as good as my cooking. Just staying at home and chatting like this is nice too. Hearing this, Elder Jiang laughed out loud and said, then, this old man is blessed with good food. Again tomorrow. Chatted until 5 p.m. Elder Jiang and Hang Yu both canoe way. I was about to get off work. So, they hurriedly left. I sat on the sofa,
leisurely enjoying the Dahong Peo tea that Elder Jiang gifted me.
At this moment, my phone rang again. I glanced at the caller ID, Director Lai. After picking up, I went straight to the point. Director Lee.
What's the matter?
Director Lee on the other end also chuckled. Professor XU, am officially informing you of something. I hope you prepare yourself mentally. Hearing this, my voice dropped a few notches. What notification?
Director Lai on the phoning became a bit more serious.
I just received a notice from the superiors. At the beginning of next month, your identity will be made public.
Your latest scientific research achievements will also be announced.
The comments on the live stream started surging again. 2 is Professor Yu calling.
Why does Professor X's expression look so serious?
I can't hear what the other end is saying. This is so frustrating. I thought the professor's identities had all been exposed already. Why does it feel like there's still something else? There probably aren't any other identities, right? No matter how incredible the professor is. Hez still young. Actually, the fans in the live stream all thought there wouldn't be any more hidden layers. The identities revealed so far were already insane enough. Continuing to watch the live stream was just to see how we
would serve her husband when she got home tonight.
They wanted to see if she bought any hot outfits.
YY in the tech room had already figured out how
she was going to serve her husband tonight. She was anxious to go home right away.
Right now. She had an intense
adoration for her husband. Unfortunately, it wasn't even 5:30 yet.
Why felt time was passing so slowly.
Every second was torture. Fans in the live stream seemed to have noticed Y's impatience.
One by one, they started teasing her.
Why? Why must be absolutely worshipping Professor XU right now? Huh.
She must be really excited. I looked at the comments and couldn't help but laugh. But she still tried to act more natural. You guys are overthinking it.
I am just thinking about going home to cook a few more dishes.
No one in the live stream believed her at all.
Wei wants to go home early.
8 out of 10 chances she misses Professor XU.
At this moment, in the live stream frame, I was sitting on the sofa, sipping tea and looking at my phone. I kept feeling like something was wrong. IT felt like something was missing in the house. I frowned slightly. This feeling was getting stronger and stronger.
What exactly was missing in the house?
I frowned and took a sip of tea. But as soon as I swallowed it, my expression changed.
Oh my God.
I am doomed, my kid.
I hurriedly put down the teacup and shot up. Every day at 3:30, I had to go to the kindergarten. T.O. pick up my daughter, and now it was past 5:00. I had to hurry. I grabbed my phone, intending to call the teacher. Only then did I see the message. My wife, I sent. Grandma picked her up today. She's staying at Grandma's house tonight. Seeing this, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I immediately replied to I. At this moment, the fans in the live stream saw my expression change drastically. As if something major had happened. Finally, they saw me pick up my phone.
Looking like I urgently needed to contact someone.
The fans were always curious, observing over the past few days. XUZ's emotions were usually very stable.
Why did he suddenly lose his composure like this?
What happened to
Professor Zhu? Who is he messaging?
IIT. Looks like something big happened.
Wei also received my message at this moment.
She felt truly speechless. Actually, she already knew I would forget to pick up our daughter. Luckily, she had contacted her mom in advance this afternoon, asking her to pick up the kid. She originally planned to take good care of her husband tonight, and having a little kid around would make it hard to take action.
Y glanced at the comments and explained.
XUZE is messaging me because he forgot to pick up our kid from school. Viewers in the live stream all cracked up. Is this daughter even his biological child? LMAO.
Where is the kid now?
HHE should have called the teacher. Don't worry, everyone. The kid was picked up by my parents. Shez, staying at Grandma's house tonight. I am outta here. I'm outta here. Looking at this, something big is gonna happen tonight. Looking at this, something big is gonna happen tonight. However, the fans reek it even more intensely after hearing this. Seeing we-I looking at him, the fans started teasing. He didn't blush like he usually did, but turned to the director and said, wait a moment. After I get home, I'll cover the camera. The director chuckled. Sure thing. The little assistant also gave an I understand look. At 5:40 p.m. seeing my wife return, I hurriedly stood up from the sofa. Grandpa and Grandma missed their granddaughter.
We didn't answer me. Just giggled.
Finally, her hand reached into her bag and tapped the screen. The Livestream feed instantly disappeared. Fans started complaining noisily. Itason go on. Are you looking down on me for not having money to keep watching? Won't you let me top up? Seeing this, the little assistant in the livestream teased, all right. Let's disperse. Everyone. We've been live streaming all day. Everyone is tired. That's it for today.
See you all tomorrow.
Finally, the livestream room closed. At this moment, I hugged me tightly. I immediately felt it. It seemed I understood why my mother-in-law picked up the kid. No way. Why looked at me with eyes full of intense love. I felt so confused. After sobered up,
The readers probably wouldn't want to see the following content.
The author has already watched it for you. It wasn't you until 7 p.m. that I finally crawled out of bed.
Every wee eye.
Was in a great mood. Hubby, you rest a bit. Go, cook. As for me, I sat on the sofa with a dazed expression. Wifey.
What's gotten into you today?
You were like a starving wolf. Early the next morning after breakfast.
We kissed me and said, hubby.
I am going to work. I rubbed her head and smiled. Go ahead. After the sound of the door closing rang out, I leaned back and sat down on the sofa. Recalling what happened last night, I suddenly had the idea to develop a new drug. After going out, I immediately unblocked the livestream.
At this moment, there were already 300,000 people waiting in the livestream.
The Ace fans, after seeing me, continuously sent comments. In the backstage tech room, the little assistant looked at we-I, who was in a very good mood, and teased, Sister, your complexion looks great today. Did you take some tonic? Viewers in the livestream took the opportunity to tease noisily even more. Why we-I didn't answer, but picked up her phone to send another message. As soon as the message was sent, her mom replied to we-I immediately. Mother Yinghong asked back, what's wrong with you and XUZ? Did you guys have a fight? No. We didn't fight. I just want the baby to stay at your place for a few days. Hearing we-I say this, her mom understood immediately. Right after, a message came, you're not young anymore either. If you want to have a second child, hurry up and do it.
Why? I was completely speechless.
Although she felt a bit embarrassed.
She still picked up her phone and sent another message, hubby. Do you want to have another son? Receiving the message, I was startled.
You want to have a second child?
Yes, I want to have another one. Yes, I want to have another one. That way the house will be livelier. Seeing her say that, I smiled and replied, all right, then let's have one. Okay, dear hubby. Then, I'll tell mom. Let our daughter stay over there for the next few days. Hearing her say that, I suddenly felt weak all over. After finalizing the plan for a second child, I picked up my phone and called Elder Jiang. Elder Jiang, you and Chairman Zhang come over for breakfast. Elder Jiang on the other end laughed.
We already had breakfast.
Zhang Yu and I will head over to your place to meet up now. All right, I replied and hung up. After putting my phone away, I went into the kitchen and started getting busy. Not long after, Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu arrived. After I finished brewing the tea, I looked at Elder Jiang and smiled, asking, Elder Jiang, is Jiang Yue not coming? Hearing this, Elder Jiang chuckled. She thinks we're too old and feels uncomfortable eating with us. So she went out to play with her best friend. I was momentarily speechless.
I am a young person too, aren't I?
At this moment, Zihang Yu beside him chimed in with a smile before coming here. I called Shen Xiao. HEG should be here in a bit. Right after, Zhang Yu asked curiously, Professor, how do you and Shen Xiao know each other? I smiled faintly and replied, Shen Xiao and I met at a banquet.
He came this time to handle some business and dropped by to visit me along the way.
Actually, Shen Xiao was just like Zhang Yu. Both were heads of top domestic pharmaceutical companies. Shen Xiao and I knew each other. Also because of another drug I developed that is being produced at Shen Xiao's place. ITAS, just that it's still in the confidential stage right now. I couldn't say much either. However, everything will be fully revealed on the 1st of next month. Zhang Yu was also a bit puzzled at this moment. He nodded. Yesterday, he had also called Shen Xiao. Also said he would come to the office and conveniently visit XUZ. But he always felt there was something strange about Shen Xiao. T couldn't pinpoint exactly what the problem was. About 10 minutes later, a knock on the door rang out. IET must be Shen Xiao. Zhang Yu stood up with a smile. I smiled and opened the door. Appearing before my eyes was a middle-aged man in a neat suit. Professor XU. Long time no see. Shen Xiao reached out his right hand with an excited expression because his left hand was carrying 2 ginseng gift boxes. I shook his hand and smiled. Long time no see. Hurry and come sit inside. I just brewed a pot of Dahong Pao tea. Shen Xiao was stunned for a moment. Hey Dan, only drunk Dahong Pao tea once before, and that was thanks to someone else. After Shen Xiao greeted Zi Hangyu, He looked over at Mer Jiang beside him. I smiled and said, let me introduce you. This is the principal of Daoquan University, Mr. Jiang Chenggong, also known as Elder Jiang. Hearing this, Shen Xiao hurriedly stepped forward to shake hands. Hello, Elder Jiang. Me name is Shen Xiao, chairman of Lifehor Pharmaceuticals. Elder Jiang smiled and said, yesterday, I already heard about you from Zhang Yu. Sit down and let's chat. At this moment, although the fans in the live stream were surprised, they weren't overly shocked. After all, Professor Yu had already conquered cancer. Knowing a few chairmen is nothing unusual. In the live stream frame, the 4 of them chatted while enjoying Dahong Pao tea. Shen Zhao looked at Zhang Yu and asked curiously, Old Zhang, how did you and Professor Shu meet? Same as you. We also met at a banquet. He didn't tell Shen Zhao the real reason. The reason was very simple. Without approval from the higher-ups, not a single word could be leaked. Shen Zhao nodded. Last night, I told you that Professor Shu and I met at a banquet. Truth is, I was lying to you. Zhang Yu frowned slightly. Why would you lie to me? Right after, Shen Zhao flashed a mysterious smile because I signed a non-disclosure agreement. An agreement regarding Professor Z's affairs. I couldn't reveal a single word. But before Chairman Shen Zhao could finish, I cut him off. The next second, seeing me frown, Shen Zhao couldn't help but freeze. What's going on? Professor Shu seemed completely clueless. Actually, around 8 p.m. last night, Shen Zhao received a call from the higher-ups. The NDA from a few years ago had been terminated. It could now be made public. The higher-ups had no objections.
Why was Professor Shu still?
Could it be that the higher-ups hadn't notified Professor Shu yet? Zhang Yu and Elder Jiang standing nearby heard Shen Zhao mention the NDA. Seeing my stern expression, they both immediately guessed something. Shen Zhao had leaked the NDA regarding Professor Shu. Shen Zhao was none other than the chairman of Westlake Pharmaceuticals, and over the past few years,
Westlake Pharmaceuticals
had been mass-producing 2 world-shocking drugs. One was the HIV vaccine. The other was the specific cure for AIDS. The researcher behind these 2 drugs had never been made public. Could it be? Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu. Thinking of this, their hearts trembled violently. That must be it. Professor Shu was truly terrifying. The 2 looked at each other, then at Shen Zhao. No matter how curious they were, they knew very well that knowing things they shouldn't would only bring them trouble. Shen Zhao was still a bit dazed. He looked at me uncertainly. Professor Shu, haven't you received the notice yet? Notice, I did receive one yesterday, but it had nothing to do with this. Seeing my reaction, Shen Zhao confirmed I was still in the dark and said bluntly, last night at 8 p.m., I got a call from the higher-ups. They said your conquest of AIDS can now be made public. The previous NDA is officially terminated. Shen Zhao's words struck Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu like a bolt of lightning, exploding in their ears.
What?
The one who found the cure for AIDS was also Xu Zhe. Meanwhile, in the livestream, comments flooded the screen. Fans everywhere were so shocked by Shen Zhao's words that they got goosebumps all over. You have to understand, AIDS and cancer were both global medical dilemmas. Cancer was slightly better. At least early and mid-stage cancer had a chance of being cured. Even late-stage cancer sometimes saw miracles. But AIDS was completely different. The AIDS virus was the most primitive and simple virus. And precisely because of that, it had infinite replication and mutation capabilities. In the past, over 200 types of AIDS vaccines had appeared. But after clinical trials, all ended in failure. 3 years ago, Longguo officially announced a shocking piece of news. The AIDS disease had been completely conquered. At first, many people were skeptical, but in the time that followed, patient after patient was cured. The voices of doubt gradually disappeared. Oh my god, does it have to be this explosive? AIDS was actually conquered by Professor Shu too, successfully conquered in the control room. The little assistant and the director were so shocked their scalps went numb. XUZ is ridiculously overpowered. Wei Wei's mouth was wide open, unable to close. The director beside her had already started searching online. He was mainly looking up Shen Xiao's identity. Judging from the current situation, Shen Xiao was the head of Westlake Pharmaceuticals. Digging a little deeper, the AIDS vaccine and the specific cure were indeed produced by Westlake Pharmaceuticals. Moreover, Shen Xiao's photos online looked exactly like the man in the live stream, which meant AIDS was truly conquered by Xu Zhe. Director Zhang told the fans in the live stream, "I've looked up Shen Xiao's background. He really is the chairman of Westlake Pharmaceuticals. The AIDS vaccine and the cure were also produced by Westlake Pharmaceuticals. In other words, AIDS was genuinely conquered by Xu Zhe. Holy shit, I'm on my knees." From today on, his die-hard fan. If anyone dares to say a bad word about Professor Shu, I'll definitely curse them out. I'll flame them until they're destroyed. Too epic. Bowing down too. This hype has broken all records. Absolutely insane. In the live stream, frantic comments flooded the screen. In the live stream frame, Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu were shaken to their core. Elder Jiang called out to Professor Shu. Elder Jiang called out to Professor Shu. "You are truly incredible." At this moment, Elder Jiang felt completely won over. Even though he was the principal of Daoquan University and had made certain academic contributions, compared to Xu Zhe's research achievements, his contributions were a drop in the bucket. Zhang Yu, standing beside him, also had eyes full of fervent admiration. Seeing Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu's reactions, I secretly sweat dropped. "Guys, don't be like this. Calm down a bit." Elder Jiang kept shaking his head, his trembling hands gripping mine. I hurriedly helped Elder Jiang sit down. "Elder Jiang, don't get too worked up. It's not good for your health. Even though I conquered AIDS, it's not as grand as you make it out to be. I just built upon the foundation laid by countless predecessors to achieve this result. Honestly speaking, this isn't my credit alone. I merely stood on the shoulders of giants to complete the final step." Hearing this, Elder Jiang shook his head. "Professor Shu, you're too modest. Even if previous researchers had gathered a lot of data, why is it that with all that data, they still couldn't conquer AIDS?
Why are you the only one who did it?"
I didn't know how to respond for a moment. After some comforting, Elder Jiang's emotions gradually stabilized. The few of us chatted over tea.
Zhang Yu looked at me expectantly.
"Professor Shu, could you tell us about the process of discovering the AIDS cure?" Hearing this, the 700,000 viewers in the live stream all perked up their ears. I took a sip of tea, then said slowly, "When I first started this project, I went through a massive amount of literature, then had someone arrange for 10 patients. So I could observe the virus in their bodies. I noticed that the replication speed of the AIDS virus, as well as its mutation rate, was unimaginably fast. When the human immune system detects the virus, it produces antibodies to attack it. But by the time the antibodies are generated and react, they can no longer keep up with the virus mutation speed. This creates a vicious cycle. Eventually, the immune system is destroyed, while the virus replication and mutation speeds remain incredibly fast. In the end, the immune system completely collapses." All three of them listened intently. I continued explaining at a leisurely pace, treating it like a casual chat. In short, it's about boosting the body's immune system so that the immune system's virus detection speed far exceeds their replication and mutation speeds. That was the line of thinking I used when developing the drug. The research direction for the vaccine was slightly different from the drug. The HIV virus mutates randomly, without any pattern. It took quite a bit of effort back then. "Professor Shu, you are truly amazing. Don't be like that." I waved my hand, saying helplessly, "Let's drop this and talk about something else." I'm getting a little scared here, scared of Elder Jiang's constant look of shock. But on the live stream screen, the comments exploded again. "Professor Shu is too humble. It's really hard to imagine that the man who conquered 2 of the world's terminal illnesses could be this modest. If it were me, I'd be walking with my nose in the air." I love Professor Shu like this. He really keeps a low profile. He truly lives up to his name. Talented people usually have their own pride. If you tell him you're not as good as him in his field of expertise, Professor Zu's pride would probably show immediately. That's epic, bro. But speaking of which, our live stream has millions of viewers. Has anyone here ever had AIDS?
Right at that moment,
someone commented, "I had it. It's no big deal. Since I'm cured now anyway." Thinking back, it's nothing but tears. 10 years ago, I went out clubbing and met a super proactive beauty. I thought I got lucky, only to find out later that she had AIDS and was out for revenge against society. If it weren't for Professor Shu, my life would have been over. My experience is pretty similar to the guy above. I advise everyone to be careful when going out. You guys are still lucky. I went to an internet cafe, and the moment I sat down, I felt something prick me. The millions of viewers in the live stream suddenly fell silent. One by one, they looked at the comments sent by those who had suffered from AIDS. Following a few comments expressing respect. Immediately, many people in the live stream started to follow suit. In the control room, the little assistant exclaimed in awe, "Oh my goodness, your husband is seriously too amazing." At this moment in the live stream frame, Elder Jiang's phone suddenly rang. Elder Jiang glanced at the caller ID and answered it with a serious expression. The person on the other end said, "The time has come. The relevant documents can now be made public." Hearing this, Elder Jiang replied, "Understood. I got it." Just as Elder Jiang hung up, Zhang Yu's phone also rang. Zhang Yu, with a solemn face, stepped aside to answer it. About 2 minutes later, after Zhang Yu hung up and had just sat down on the sofa, my phone rang too. I saw the caller ID showed Minister Zhang. I stood up, stepped aside, and answered Minister Zhang. Minister Zhang, on the other end, got straight to the point.
Tree Zhang.
A.R. Hearing him, I frowned and said, "These two matters are to be officially made public now." Minister Zhang replied. Elder Zhang looked at me and said, "The higher-ups just called me. They said the fact that you found the cure for cancer can now be announced. The non-disclosure agreement has expired." Hearing this, Shen Zhao, who was standing nearby, looked deeply shocked. He stared at Elder Jiang in astonishment. The cure for cancer was also discovered by Professor Xu. Elder Jiang chuckled softly. "Professor Xu, the conquest of cancer. Zhang Yu and I have known about it for a long time. As for you, if you hadn't come here today, I probably wouldn't have known that AIDS was also conquered by Professor Xu." At this moment, the fans in the live stream also started discussing. Just now, seeing the three of them consecutively receive phone calls and hearing talk about non-disclosure agreements and such, the fans all realized that previously, Ichu XUZ's identity had to be kept a secret. Director, it looks like you're in big trouble. Previously, Professor Xu hadn't announced his conquest of cancer and AIDS. That was under an NDA. Now it's all been exposed. But seriously, how many years in prison will the director get for this? The fans' chatter in the live stream scared the director so much his face turned pale. The little assistant beside him, after seeing the comments, also realized the gravity of the situation. Didn't they just say these two matters no longer need to be kept secret? It should be fine, right? Seeing the director and the little assistant terrified,
Wei Wei couldn't help but offer a word of comfort.
In reality, she wasn't entirely sure herself. "I'm going to the restroom for a bit." The director, pale-faced, stepped out of the control room and made a call to the investor, President Su. "Boss, are you watching the live stream?" On the other end, the investor answered immediately. President Su said calmly, "I've been watching the live stream the whole time. It's no big deal. Professor Zos's affairs were originally classified, but didn't they just say it? The non-disclosure agreement ends here. I'll handle the rest." The director asked President Su anxiously, "Is it really okay? We live-streamed the principal of Dao Quan and the chairman of 2 state-owned enterprises. I will handle this. Just focus on doing your job well. President Su, please give me some reassurance." President Su, on the other end, was silent for a moment. This was authorized by the higher-ups. The higher-ups want to use the live stream format to boost Professor Zuck's popularity. "I understand, President Su," the director said excitedly. President Su warned him not to spread this around. "I'm telling you this because the higher-ups just gave the green light. The higher-ups have their own considerations. We just need to obey." The director's face lit up with excitement. President Su just said he received authorization from the higher-ups. Does that mean the higher-ups are right next to President Su? The director hurriedly promised, "I won't tell anyone. I'll do my job well." Hanging up the phone, the director breathed a sigh of relief. He felt an unprecedented sense of relaxation. His initial worries completely vanished. After returning to the control room, the little assistant looked at the director worriedly. "Director, is something bad going to happen?" The director smiled and replied, "I just called the investor." President Su said it's fine. If Professor Su's identity couldn't be made public, we'd be done for. But since Professor Zu's affairs no longer need to be kept secret, well, be perfectly fine. In the live stream frame, the four of us were eating and chatting. Zhang Yu looked at me, voicing a question he had in mind. "Professor Xu, when you took on the AIDS project, did you develop the cure first or the vaccine first?" Zhang Yu's curiosity wasn't unfounded. Normally speaking, if a cure for AIDS had already been successfully developed, there would be no need to develop a vaccine. At this moment, Elder Jiang also looked at me curiously. I replied softly, "I developed the cure first, and then the vaccine." Logically speaking, once the cure was developed, there really was no need to develop a vaccine. But at the time, I thought, developing a vaccine would be a good way to challenge myself a bit. On the other hand, I also wanted to make a little extra money. "Make extra money, Elder Jiang?" and Zhang Yu were a bit dumbfounded. Couldn't you make money with just the cure? Shen Zhao, sitting nearby, smiled and said, think back, you guys, to the situation when the cure and vaccine were first launched. At that time, using the excuse that the AIDS cure was hard to mass produce, the cure was prioritized for domestic supply first, but the AIDS vaccine could be produced on a large scale. So the vaccine was prioritized for global supply. Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu immediately understood. After the news was announced back then, it was initially met with global skepticism, but as patient after patient was cured, the critics shut their mouths one by one. From that day on, people all over the world demanded that Westlake Pharmaceuticals mass-produce the AIDS cure. But Westlake Pharmaceuticals issued a direct statement, declaring that several components in the AIDS cure were extremely difficult to extract, making mass production impossible. For the next 10 years, it would only be supplied domestically within Longguo. However, the AIDS vaccine could be produced in massive quantities. Even though foreign countries didn't buy this excuse, there was nothing they could do. They could only take a step back and opt for the AIDS vaccine. There were also those who couldn't stand seeing Longguo make money. They wanted to reverse engineer the vaccines they obtained, but without exception, they all failed. Left with no other choice, the whole world started buying the AIDS vaccine in bulk. Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu recalled the events of that year, feeling incredibly satisfied. At this moment, the live stream viewers also remembered what happened a few years ago. That year was seriously so satisfying. Westlake Pharmaceuticals must have made a fortune off the AIDS vaccine. I remember the AIDS vaccine was made free domestically after that. It drove the rest of the world crazy with anger. Ha ha ha. Let them die mad about it. Ha ha. Exactly. Our country handled it brilliantly. 1.5 billion doses of vaccine, all free. Our motherland is so powerful. 1.5 billion free doses. The director and the little assistant were also deeply moved. Both of them had lived through the events of that year. People in the country got the vaccine for free, while foreigners had to pay 1,000 yuan a dose.
Wei, standing nearby, also burst into laughter.
Her mood was hard to describe with words. In short, it felt incredibly satisfying. In the live stream, Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu simultaneously gave Shen Zhao a thumbs up. You handled that beautifully. Shen Zhao shook his head and smiled. This was still Professor Zia's decision. Actually, I couldn't stand them back then either. Plus, the drugs they imported into our country were even more expensive. So I priced the vaccine at 1,000 yuan a dose. Zhang Yu asked curiously about the AIDS cure.
What was the cost of the vaccine?
Hearing this, Shen Zhao broke into a bright smile and held up 3 fingers. Seeing this, Zhang Yu guessed 30. Shen Zhao nodded and smiled, saying Zhang Yu guessed right. Cost 30, profit 970, that much. Elder Jiang looked at Shen Zhao in astonishment. When the livestream viewers heard Shen Zhao say this, they were all so shocked they could only exclaim, holy crap. This profit margin is insane. Outside of Longguo, there are billions of people globally. Even if only a fifth of them got vaccinated, this market is still massive. This alone is enough for Westlake Pharmaceuticals to make a killing. Epic. Absolutely brilliant, Chairman Shen. But no matter how great Chairman Shen is, he can't compare to Professor Xu. Professor Xu is still the most badass. The millions of viewers in the livestream weren't all from Longguo. In their hearts, they felt even more bitter. There was another group of people who felt even worse. They used to be citizens of Longguo, but had later emigrated to developed Western countries. Back when they first emigrated, they felt very proud. They considered themselves superior to others. Now, seeing the homeland they had abandoned, developing so well, they felt incredibly uncomfortable. It was like they had dumped a great partner, only to find out years later that their ex was living a much better life than them. That feeling was truly unpleasant. The most infuriating part was that, after going abroad, their lives weren't as great as they had imagined. But there's no cure for regret in this world. They could never get their Longguo citizenship back. They were foreigners now, plain and simple. To the people in those immigrant countries, they weren't true locals either. They were just immigrants. In the live stream, we chatted as we ate. Some topics got us more and more excited as we talked. Shen Zhao became a bit talkative. Plus, having had a little to drink, he immediately became the life of the party once he started talking. Shen Zhao said, a few days ago, I looked at the statistics. So far, we've sold 3 billion doses of the AIDS vaccine. I think we've sold just about enough. The market is only so big. I've already discussed it with the company's management. We've decided to stop selling the AIDS vaccine and prepare to start selling the AIDS cure. Zhang Yu asked curiously, how do you plan to price the AIDS cure? Shen Zhao held up 1 finger in front of everyone. 10,000 yuan a box. To completely cure AIDS, you need 3 boxes. Elder Jiang, sitting nearby, pondered for a moment and said, there are currently a lot of people with AIDS abroad. I estimate the number of people who will buy the cure immediately won't be small. Shen Zhao nodded. True, it's not a massive amount, but the sheer number of AIDS patients abroad is huge. The number of buyers definitely won't be small. Zhang Yu asked curiously, what's the cost of 1 box of the cure? Hearing this, Shen Zhao chuckled. The cost of a box isn't high. 530 yuan. Elder Jiang and
Zhang Yu were stunned.
the cost is 530, and you're selling it for 10,000 yuan, a profit of over 9,000 yuan. Seeing their expressions, Shen Xiao remained unfazed. He smiled and said, the drugs that foreign pharmaceutical companies sell to us have much higher profit margins. We're only selling it for 10,000 yuan a box. That's already very conscientious of us.
Oh right, the pricing of the drug.
Professor Xu was also involved in it. Hearing Shen Zhao say this, Shi Zhu chuckled and said, I made the final decision on the pricing. The selling price may be high, but who told those overseas pharmaceutical companies to sell their drugs to us at such exorbitant prices? I'm a scientific researcher. Even though some say science shouldn't have borders, I agree with that statement. Science has no borders, but scientists have a motherland. I'm a scientist, and more importantly, a scientist of Longguo. At this moment, the fans in the livestream were endlessly sending comments across the screen. This pricing is spot on. As for an AIDS patient having to spend 30,000 yuan, they can probably still manage to afford this price. Cost is 200, but they sell it for over 70,000. If it were me, I'd price it straight at 100,000 a dose to squeeze them dry. We should give them a taste of their own medicine. However, in the livestream, among the 100,000 viewers, there were also dissenting opinions. A small number of people overseas, hearing that the cost of the AIDS cure was so low, while the selling price was sky high, all felt extremely outraged. With such a low cost, how could the selling price be so high? A drug created by a scientist after conquering a disease should be sold cheaply. Yeah, agreed. The drug should be sold for around 400 yuan a box to be reasonable. Many people saw these opposing opinions, clicked on their profiles to check, and found out they were all overseas users. Everyone started sending comments in unison to fire back. Science has no borders, but scientists have a nationality. Professor Xu is from Longguo. So what if he sells it for 10,000 a box? Why don't you think about it? You guys sell drugs that cost 200 yuan at astronomical prices. So what if we sell it for 10,000 yuan a box? Die mad about it. In the control room, seeing this scene, the director immediately took those confirmed overseas accounts and blocked them all. Then kicked them out of the live stream. He then said, I've blocked them, and kicked them out of the live stream. When everyone in the live stream heard this, they were all dissatisfied.
Why did you kick them so early?
They were all dissatisfied.
Why did you kick them so early?
You should have. Let us curse them out first. Let us vent our anger before kicking them. Let them die of anger. Yeah, exactly. I haven't even finished typing my insults. Director. That was a dirty move. At least wait until we're done cursing them.
Haha, those bastards.
Whenever something puts them at a disadvantage, they demand a price drop for the drug. But if they were the ones with the cure, they definitely charge an arm and a leg. People like that just need to be cursed into oblivion. At this moment, on the livestream screen, Elder Jiang raised a full glass of baijiu. Come on, let's toast to our Professor Xu. Bottoms up. Zhang Yu also raised a full glass. Cheers. Seeing the two of them about to down those full glasses of baijiu, Shen Zhao was momentarily terrified. He hurriedly tried to stop them. This baijiu is really strong.
Drink less. Drink less.
Hearing this, Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu couldn't help but exchange a glance. Both simultaneously had the idea to play a prank on Shen Zhao. I saw right through their intentions, so I decided to play along. I put my glass down and said, how about we just chug from the bottle? What do you say? Hearing this, Elder Jiang let out a hearty laugh.
Chug from the bottle.
Zhang Yu also laughed heartily. In planning to finish 5 bottles of baijiu, Shen Zhao couldn't believe his ears. Are these 3 drunk? And just talking big? Turns out even Professor Xu brags when has drunk, wanting to chug from the bottle, and it's baijiu no less. But who would have thought? The next second, I actually turned around and grabbed 4 bottles of baijiu. Shen Zhao's face paled slightly, but he still couldn't quite believe it. How is that possible? Chugging a whole bottle of baijiu. How is that possible? Chugging a whole bottle of baijiu, especially since he had drank with Zhang Yu before. So he knew Zhang Yu's alcohol tolerance very well. If he chugged a whole bottle of baijiu, even if Zhang Yu didn't end up in the hospital, he'd be half dead. Not to mention, he had already drank more than a glass of baijiu just now. At this moment, Elder Jiang, Zhang Yu, and I each held a bottle of baijiu. After opening the caps, we all looked in unison at the stunned Shen Zhao. Zhang Yu looked at Shen Zhao and raised an eyebrow.
Why aren't you opening your bottle?
Seeing Zhang Yu acting so professional, is if he was really going to chug the whole bottle. Shen Zhao still found it a bit hard to believe. He couldn't help but suspect that Zhang Yu and the others were deliberately trying to scare him. So Shen Zhao opened his bottle. Elder Jiang, fine, if we're chugging, we're chugging. Bottoms up. Zhang Yu burst out laughing, then proceeded to chug the entire bottle. This sight left Shen Zhao completely dumbfounded. They're actually chugging the whole bottle. This is insane. This is baijiu. Drinking this much is asking for trouble. The livestream viewers seeing Shen Xiao's dumbfounded and stunned expression. All burst out laughing. This is hilarious. Professor Shu, Elder Jiang, and Zhang Dong are actually so funny. The three of them teamed up to scare Chairman Shen. Ha ha ha. Chairman Shen still doesn't know that Professor Shu invented a hangover cure capsule. His scared look is pretty cute. Honestly epic. Turns out, Professor Shu likes to prank people too. In my previous impression, I thought scientific researchers were all very serious. In the control room, the little assistant smiled, glanced at Wei Wei, and said, "Sister Wei Wei, your husband is really interesting."
Wei Wei smiled softly,
not saying a word, just gazing intently at the livestream screen, where her beloved husband was, in the livestream frame, in less than a minute. The three of us had each downed a bottle of baijiu. After putting the bottles down, we all looked at Shen Zhao in unison. Seeing this, Shen Zhao broke into a cold sweat and said to me, "If I drink this whole bottle and chug it this fast, it'll probably end up in the ER." Hearing this, Zhang Yu smiled and replied, "It's fine. I'm here. I'll call the ambulance for you." Shen Xiao's face darkened. A rant we supposed to not force people to drink. I looked at Shen Xiao's awkward expression, couldn't help but laugh, and said, "Drink up. You can also try the hangover cure capsule I just invented." Hangover cure capsule. Shen Zhao was stunned upon hearing this. Judging by the name of the drug, it seemed like it could help someone sober up quickly. He looked over at Elder Jiang and Zhang Yu again, and saw that both of them looked incredibly calm. It seemed they definitely already knew about this hangover cure capsule. They might have even taken the capsule already. No wonder they were so calm. No wonder they dared to chug the whole bottle. Shen Zhao's heart stirred. A hangover cure capsule. Professor Shu even invented such an amazing drug. Then I definitely want to try it out. The next second, Shen Xiao tilted his head back and chugged the entire bottle. Seeing this, I took out 4 hangover cure capsules and handed one to each person. Wait until the alcohol kicks in before taking this, so you can experience the drug's effects. Shen Zhao nodded. 5 minutes passed, the alcohol started to kick in, and it felt like they couldn't hold out much longer. They felt that if they waited any longer, things would go south. At this point, the 4 of them immediately took a hangover cure capsule. They waited another 10 minutes. For the first 5 minutes, the buzz only got stronger, with no sign of sobering up at all. But starting from the 10th minute, their bodies could clearly feel the drug's effects. Another 20 minutes passed. Shen Zhao looked at me in absolute astonishment. "Professor Shu, the effect of this drug is seriously too strong." Shen Zhao said that about 30 minutes after taking the drug, it could almost completely neutralize the alcohol in the body. Within 40 minutes, it could thoroughly eliminate all alcohol from the system. Hearing this, Shen Zhao was deeply shaken. This Professor Shu, despite his young age, did things that left people in awe every single time. He found a treatment for cancer, conquered AIDS, and even invented a hangover cure capsule. If this hangover cure capsule hit the market, sales would definitely explode. Moreover, this drug had long-lasting effects. The livestream viewers, witnessing the miraculous effects of the hangover cure capsule once again, couldn't help but gasp in amazement, eagerly anticipating its release. I wonder when this drug will actually go on sale. With this drug, there's no need to fear drinking anymore. I work at a bar. In this line of work, if you can hold your liquor, you have it all. My income would increase significantly. Even if it goes on sale, well, I'll probably have to wait a year or two. Meanwhile, in the office of the Jiangnan City Police Chief, Zhang Jiangguo was currently watching the livestream. A few days ago, the higher-ups told him to visit Xu Zhe, wanting him to appear in the livestream to boost Xu Zhe's popularity. At the time, he thought the higher-ups wanted to use the show's livestream to reveal Xu Zhe's identity as the one who cured cancer. He didn't expect that after watching the livestream for 2 days. Head discovers Xu Zhe had so many other achievements. He also understood why, shortly after the show discovering the other half had just started. The higher-ups immediately grasped the situation. People like Xu Zhe were definitely under strict protection at all times. Even the area around Xu Zhe surely had plainclothes officers deployed for protection. Even Wei Wei, their children and Xu Zhe's closest relatives were constantly protected. Zhang Jiangguo sighed in awe. He recalled a few years ago, when he signed a non-disclosure agreement, the higher-ups had proactively told him that Xu Zhe was the one who found the cure for cancer. At that time, because Xu Zhe would be residing in Jiangnan City long-term, the higher-ups gave him a mission. Anything related to Xu Zhe, no matter how big or small, he had to do everything in his power to resolve it. At this moment in the livestream frame, the 4 of us chatted until 5 p.m. Before leaving, Elder Zhang looked at me and asked, "Do you have any plans for tomorrow?" I looked at him and replied, "My wife has tomorrow off, so I have to go with her to my father-in-law's house." Elder Jiang nodded. "I originally planned to hang out for another day tomorrow, but since you have other plans, never mind." After that, the 3 of them said their goodbyes and left. The house suddenly became quiet. I thought for a moment, then got up and busied myself in the kitchen. I had to finish cooking 3 dishes before Wei Wei got home, so my wife could have a good meal. At 5:30 p.m., I sent a text to Wei, receiving the text from her husband. Wei Wei inexplicably felt a pang of heartache, especially after learning that her husband had conquered AIDS. You have to understand back then, just the mention of AIDS terrified everyone, and her husband, in order to conquer it, must have come into contact with countless AIDS pathogens. If, during that process, he had accidentally gotten infected, his life would have been over. Wei Wei looked at the text, then typed a reply. After putting her phone away, Wei Wei said to the director and the little assistant later, "Once I get home, I'll turn off the live stream." The director and the little assistant had no objections. Moreover, the viewers in the live stream today, upon hearing Wei Wei's words, surprisingly didn't object at all. Instead, they were very supportive of her. Heading out. Wei glanced at the comments in the live stream, then ignored them. In a flash, Wei arrived home. With eyes full of affection, she walked up to me.
"Hubby!"
she called out softly, her arms wrapped around my neck. Then she went into the kitchen and brought the food out. After sitting down, Wei picked up a piece of stir-fried meat and brought it right to my mouth. There is something off about my wife lately. Being affectionate normally is one thing. Serving me food is also normal. But feeding it right to my mouth like this. It's been a long time since she did this. I had just finished eating one piece of meat. Right after, Wei picked up another piece and brought it close to my mouth. Z's sweat dropped slightly as he looked at Wei. "Are you treating me like a kid?" Hearing this, Wei smiled softly. "You need to eat well to have energy. Seriously, what's gotten into my wife these past few days?" Just like that, eating dinner alone took over half an hour. After eating, Wei looked at me and said, "You go take a shower first? I'll take one after I finish washing the dishes." XUZ went into the ensuite bathroom to shower. After Wei finished cleaning up, the next morning it wasn't until 9 a.m. that I sluggishly crawled out of bed. Looks like I need to hurry up and invent some kidney-boosting, stamina-enhancing pills. By this time, Wei had already left for work. After finishing breakfast, I was about to sit down and watch some TV. Unexpectedly, someone I never thought would come walked in. The visitor turned out to be someone from the bank. So without a second thought, I said to Director Zhao, "You donate all the remaining money to the country for military funding." Just as I hung up, I suddenly remembered something. I took out my phone and called Zhang Yu. Once connected, Zhang Yu asked with a laugh, "Professor Shu, miss me already after just parting ways?" I smiled and replied, "I have a prescription for treating the flu and pneumonia. The side effects of this prescription are negligible. For a severe cold, taking the medicine for a maximum of 3 days will cure it completely. For a mild cold,
1 day is enough."
Oh, right.
There is also the prescription for the hangover cure capsule we talked about earlier. Hearing this, Zhang Yu said excitedly, "I'll book a flight there right now. Once it goes into mass production, I estimate you could make trillions a year." Hearing Zhang Yu's words, I replied calmly, "Someone like me is already provided for by the state. So I have no interest in money. I've basically donated all the money I've earned anyway. I researched these drugs not just to benefit humanity, but mainly to drive down the cost of medicine. I'd be best if I could bankrupt all those heartless pharmaceutical conglomerates." On the other end of the line, hearing my words, Zhang Yu couldn't help but look deeply moved. His eyes filled with absolute admiration. I then made another call. To the chairman of Shiku Pharmaceuticals, Shen Xiao. "Mr. Shen, make some time to come over to my place. I've developed a cure for hemorrhoids. By combining both topical and oral medications, it can completely cure hemorrhoids in just 7 days." Shen Xiao's expression changed drastically. The hemorrhoid medications currently on the market basically only work for mild symptoms. If it's a severe case, surgery is the only option, and the process during and after surgery is incredibly painful. Some patients describe the feeling as like pooping out broken glass. The medication Professor Shu just mentioned could actually cure it completely in just a few days. The value of this drug is truly terrifying. You have to know that 9 out of 10 people suffer from hemorrhoids. Once this drug hits the market, sales will absolutely explode. "Mr. Shen hurriedly said, "I'll book a flight right now." I nodded. Then it settled. "I still have friends over right now." Bank Director Zhao stood nearby, looking at me in astonishment. This is going to completely change the landscape of the pharmaceutical industry. Just then, an unexpected situation occurred in the live stream. "Oh my god, what's going on? Why can't I type the words Professor Shu? What's going on?" "Me too. I can't type Professor Z's name at all. Even using symbols to separate the letters doesn't work." In the control room, the director and the other two saw the comments on the screen and were startled. They couldn't type Shuze. All 3 of them tried it themselves and found that they really couldn't type the name Shuze. "Let's try sending it on WeChat," the little assistant said. Then she sent Wei a message. The message only contained the words Shuze. The next second, Wei stared at her phone and frowned. I really didn't receive it. The little assistant was a bit stunned. She had clearly sent it successfully. At this moment, everyone realized that the higher-ups must have intervened. Right after, another viewer said, "Now we can't even type the name of the show." What the hell is happening? I just asked my mom to try searching for it, and she found that it can't be searched anymore. At this time, what the viewers in the live stream didn't know was that in the outside world, an official announcement about an extremely major event was being made in the control room. Just as the director picked up his phone to call the investors, he received a message from Boss Sue. Just keep the show running. The director looked at the message and voiced his doubts. What is going on here? Right now, a lot of people can't even find the entrance to the live stream. They can't even search for Professor X's name. The higher-ups have made their move. From now on, no new viewers will be able to enter the live stream. Only existing viewers can come and go freely. You don't need to worry about anything else. Just focus on running this live stream well, right? Everyone should pay close attention to the news over the next 2 days. The director put his phone away and spoke to everyone in the live stream. I just received some news. Currently, the issue regarding the show's name and Professor Xu is due to intervention from the higher-ups. Viewers who have previously entered the live stream can still come and go freely, but the live stream will no longer accept any new viewers. The fans in the live stream all looked like they had a sudden realization. So it was the higher-ups who stepped in.
But why would they do that?
Professor Xu has conquered so many diseases. Logically, they should be boosting his popularity.
Why are they suppressing his reach instead?
The director looked at the comments, equally baffled. He could only say, everyone make sure to watch the news a lot these days. You might find the answer there. Meanwhile, the mother-in-law had also been living in absolute shock for the past 2 days. She really wanted to ask her son-in-law directly. But looking at the current situation, if Xu Zhe found out he was being live-streamed, this show probably wouldn't be able to continue. At this moment, the mother-in-law suddenly had another idea. She took out her phone and called her in-laws. The call connected quickly. In-law, it's been a while. Is there a reason you're calling today? The mother-in-law composed herself and asked, let me ask you something. Do you know who discovered the specific cure for cancer? On the other end, Xu Ze's mother chuckled. Little Z was the one who discovered the cure. Why do you ask? Wei Wei's mother was instantly speechless. She answered that directly. Then Wei Wei's mother asked again, what about AIDS? That was Little Z too. Sister Jing, are you watching Discovering the Other Half? That TV show.
Yes, exactly.
Don't tell me you only found out through the show that your son conquered AIDS and cancer. No, his father and I have known for years. The reason we haven't said anything all this time is because my husband and I both signed non-disclosure agreements. We're not allowed to leak it to the outside. Hearing this, the mother-in-law gasped and said, Little Z solved so many of the world's toughest problems, and you two aren't shocked. Hearing her say that, Xu Z's mother smiled and replied, not really. Little Z has been a prodigy since he was a kid. He knew all the Chinese characters by the time he was 5. He was always top of his grade in school. He was even the national top scorer in the college entrance exam. Oh, right. Little Z was already fluent in 6 languages in high school. No matter what he does, we wouldn't find it strange. Besides, at 19, he already became... Oh, wait. I just remembered. I still can't tell you what he became at 19.
Why did you stop halfway?
Just wait until October 1st. You'll find out. I really can't say right now. At this point, as a mother, I can't even stay calm. Xu Z's mother meant that. It seemed Xu Zhe still had an even more important secret right now. In livestream frame number 3, Governor Zhao and I were drinking and chatting merrily. Just as we were having a great time drinking, both of our phones rang at the same time, with a message notification. A news alert popped up on the screen. This news was even published by the official state media. The headline read, starting September 9th, various rankings will be announced. Tomorrow, September 9th, the global billionaires list will be revealed. Almost at the exact same time, everyone else's phones also chimed with the notification. Countless people saw the news alert from the official media. Some people were curious. Why was the billionaires list being announced by the official state media? Moreover, judging by the official media's tone, aside from the billionaires list, it seemed there were other rankings as well. At this moment, the fans in the livestream had also seen the news in large numbers. Professor Xu has 4 trillion Dragon Country dollars, if he makes the list. The title of the world's richest person will belong to Professor Xu. So that's what this is about. I think I get it now. Professor X's name and Jeff Bezos have become banned words.
That's why the live stream can't get new followers.
It's to prevent overexposure. I feel like Professor X's name is very likely to appear on the ranking. Oh my god, if Professor Xu makes the billionaires list, the whole world is going to be dumbfounded. In the control room, Wei Wei was also incredibly expectant. Would Xu Ze's name appear on the billionaires list? If he really did appear on that list, and as the richest person in the world at that, just thinking about it made her unable to contain her excitement. Time flew by, and it was already past 2 p.m. Director Zhao stood up to take his leave from Professor Xu. Perhaps your name will appear on the billionaires list. I just smiled and said nothing. After Director Zhao left, I picked up my phone and called Minister Zhang. Once connected, I got straight to the point. Minister Zhang. The news says the global billionaires list will be announced tomorrow. I won't be appearing on that list, will I? On the other end, Minister Zhang laughed and said, this ranking actually does have something to do with you. The higher-ups want to build momentum so that the whole world has to pay attention to Dragon Country. Right after, Minister Zhang's tone turned serious in recent years. Our country's science and technology have developed explosively. In many fields, we've caught up to developed nations, and even surpassed Western superpowers. Our citizens are also becoming increasingly confident. Publishing these rankings this time is also to further elevate our national pride. Besides, it serves as a deterrent to the rest of the world. At 10 a.m. the next day, media across the country, on devices like phones and TVs, all displayed the exact same image. The screen showed the words, Global Billionaires List. The bottom right corner also indicated that one name would be announced every half hour. Billionaires all over the world successively received news that Dragon Country's official media was publishing information on the top 10 of the Global Billionaires List. Everyone was wondering, in the top 10 of the Global Billionaires List, there wasn't a single person from Dragon Country. Publishing this list would only boost the morale of other countries. So why would they do this? Everyone's minds were full of questions. Yes, they quietly waited for the results. There were 5 minutes left until the 10th place was announced. The whole world was waiting for the first name to be revealed. When the countdown ended, the list appeared on the TV screen. 10th place, Sergey Brin. Personal net worth, 93.4 billion. After the top 10 list was announced,
the whole world was in an uproar.
Impossible, there must be a mistake. Sergey Brin should be in 9th place. It's only been a few months since the last billionaires list. The rankings couldn't possibly change this fast. In a certain villa, Sergey Brin stared at the ranking on his computer screen. He furrowed his brows tightly. 3 months ago, he was still in 9th place, but now he had been pushed down to 10th. Who on earth was the person on the computer screen that had kicked him down? A group of top billionaires and financial bloggers were all completely baffled. Meanwhile, in the live stream, all the fans were about to go crazy. Commenting down below, but I can't type the professor's name at all. I clearly know who it is, but I just can't say it. This is so frustrating. Me too. Heading over to Guan Mei's livestream to curse them out. So pissed off.
Brothers,
let's go to Guan Mei's livestream and demand justice. Let's go. Immediately, a huge number of people exited, discovering the other half. They flooded into Guan Mei's livestream. In just 30 seconds, the Discovering the Other Half livestream saw its viewership drop from 1.5 million to 1 million. The director in the control room was dumbfounded. Guan Mei's livestream had over 500,000 people flood in within a short 30 seconds.
Right at this moment,
the concurrent viewers in Guan Mei's livestream had reached over 5 million. Many people were questioning Guan Mei. Why publish a ranking that destroys our own morale like this? What good does publishing this kind of ranking do for us? Exactly, I suggest we stop publishing this ranking. Just then, the live stream was suddenly spammed with a barrage of identical comments. The official media is publishing this ranking because the richest person in the world is from Dragon Country. Someone you absolutely wouldn't expect. The people in the live stream who didn't know the truth stared at the spam screen in complete bewilderment. What the hell is this? Is it real or fake? Immediately, many people started asking, are you saying the richest person in the world is from Dragon Country? Then who exactly is he? Yeah, hurry up and tell us who it is. Those who knew the truth really wanted to say it, but all the keywords had been blocked. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't speak the truth. At this moment, on the official live stream screen, the name for 9th place appeared. 9th place, Terry Page, U.S. nationality. Personal net worth, 97.2 billion. Time slowly ticked by. As the rankings were successively announced, they had now reached 3rd place. Time slowly ticked by, until it was almost time to announce 2nd place. Everyone was buzzing with discussion. 2nd place is definitely that mysterious person. I'm so curious to know who it actually is. The person next to them frowned and said, I have a feeling that 2nd place might not be that mysterious person. Surprisingly, the people around them didn't argue. Looking at the current situation, anything was possible. The whole world. Everyone had their eyes glued to the screens in front of them. At this moment, the screen slowly revealed the 2nd place ranking. 2nd place, Bezos, American, chairman of Fimaxun. Personal net worth, 191.4 billion. 1114 billion is equivalent to 1114 billion is equivalent to 1.2173 trillion Dragon Country dollars. After the 2nd place was announced,
the whole world was in an uproar.
Meanwhile, in the control room, Wei Wei was incredibly emotional because her husband's name was about to appear in the spot for the richest person in the world. Time continued to slowly tick by. The countdown for the announcement of 1st place had also begun. When the countdown ended, a line of text slowly appeared on the screen. 1st place.
XUZ Dragon Country.
Personal net worth, 3.9 trillion Dragon Country dollars, totaling equivalent to 613.1 billion. Detailed information about Shu Zhe will be gradually revealed in the upcoming lists. I looked at the announcement on the TV screen in astonishment. Didn't they say they'd wait until October 1st to reveal everything?
Why are they revealing my identity now?
Thinking of this, I took out my phone and made a call. Minister Zhang, didn't you say my identity wouldn't be revealed until May 1st?
Why are you gradually announcing it on the rankings now?
Minister Zhang said because you've conquered cancer, AIDS, and cardiopulmonary disease, including the newly developed hangover capsules. These drugs will be successively announced on the rankings. Besides, after discussion and decision by the higher-ups, it's been decided to announce the news about Project Nantianmen and the space station at the same time. Of course, for the time being, we won't say that these epic-making weapons were researched by you. For now, we're only announcing these achievements. All your other information will remain strictly confidential.